Well, Robert's just thinking too small. Robert's being a poor dad.
The Grant Cardone Robert Kiyosaki feud saga continues. Hey, this is Drew Page. Welcome to the Drew Page channel. In this video, we're going to break down a clip or two from a video that Grant Cardone did where he once again starts to call out Robert Kiyosaki. If you found this video helpful or enjoy the video, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. Well, a couple weeks ago, Grant Cardone put up a new video and he was giving his 10x principles for real estate, from going to $3,000 into billions of dollars of real estate. And he's using this as an advertisement for his real estate summit, which he does every single year. But interestingly, in this video, he once again calls out Robert Kiyosaki, renowned for his book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And it's very interesting that this attack comes once again after Robert Kiyosaki had Grant Cardone on his show. And during that show, Robert Kiyosaki was basically calling Grant Cardone out for disrespecting his listeners by trying to push the idea that you can only buy big deals, you can't buy small deals. And Grant was like, I'm not disrespecting anybody, you know, I'm just telling you how it is. And they go to commercial, and then Grant's just gone from the interview. It's actually quite hilarious. You should go back and watch that video that I did on it, and there's a link to the full video in that breakdown that I did. Nevertheless, Grant already gave a response in a previous video about Robert Kiyosaki, and now in this video, he has some other things to say about Robert Kiyosaki. So let's see what he has to say about RK in this video.
Real estate is a business. It's a built-in business. It's the easiest business that I have. And you guys that have been listening to Robert Kiyosaki, and Robert says, oh my God, management's awful. Robert's just thinking too small. Robert's being a poor dad. When he says that, he's being poor dad. He does not take on the rich dad mentality. Or maybe there's poor dad, rich dad, and then there's daddy dad, you know, like super rich dad. Super rich dad, Jeff Bezos, he don't manage Amazon. Okay, Robert would say, oh, the hardest thing about running Amazon is the people. Jeff don't run the people. Jeff runs the business. He's not in the business. So when Robert says, oh my God, management's the hardest part, Robert, it's because you don't think big enough. Once you get big enough, you don't have toilets and tenants and termites. You got to think bigger, okay?
Wow, that's quite the allegation to say that the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, is thinking too small. He needs to think bigger. And Grant Cardone is saying that because Robert talks about the management of single-family homes and how difficult it is, that means that Robert is thinking too small. And if he was on a grander scale, like what Grant Cardone was talking about in the interview that he did with Robert Kiyosaki, where he was talking about getting bigger deals, no less than 32 doors, then you can get management to come in and do the work for you. You don't do it. And he relates it to Jeff Bezos at Amazon, saying that Jeff Bezos isn't the one who's actually managing the people doing the janitorial work. He is over the business, and there are other people dealing with the management of the business. So he's basically trying to say that, Robert, you're not thinking as big like I do about Jeff Bezos type thinking. You're thinking too small. Now, you know, Robert Kiyosaki is a multi-millionaire. He's not a small thinker, to say the least. But at least as far as Grant is concerned, in comparison to him, he's saying that Robert is thinking too small about this issue of real estate management. That's a pretty low blow for a guy who wrote a book that has become one of the top sellers, not just in financial independence, but in real estate itself. Even though Rich Dad, Poor Dad, frankly, is not a real estate book, it's a business book. But you know, what do you think about that? Do you think Grant's right? Do you think that Robert's thinking too small, or do you think that Grant's just being petty and that Robert actually is a big thinker, and they just are continuing the feud? Let me know down in the comments. Here's what he says about Robert's view on price in purchasing real estate.
Price is not the most important part of real estate. I was talking again to Robert Kiyosaki about this, and he's like, price. I'm like, he's like, where's price come in? I said, bro, that's the least important part of the deal for me. Is the asset in a good location? Do I have barriers to entry? Is it occupied? What's my worst case scenario? Can it withstand problems? Okay. How much I paid for it? Whether I paid $1 million for it, or 900 grand for it, or 800, nobody's going to buy a piece of real estate because they're going to make 10,000. You're buying a piece of real estate because you think you're going to create wealth long term.
Grant says that Robert is focused on price when it comes to purchasing real estate assets. That any type of saving, there's got to be some number that gets you the right price to give you the right purchasing power. And Grant says that price is the least important thing. Barriers to entry, location, replacement costs, things of that nature are more important when determining whether to buy real estate or not. And that, again, that Robert's thinking about the wrong things. So you can tell that Grant has a superior view of himself when it comes to real estate over Robert Kiyosaki, and maybe in regards to everybody. But anyway, he certainly does as to Robert Kiyosaki. And so, he gives other things that are important. I'm sure that in all candor, price is at least somewhat important. It may not be the most important thing, but I think even Grant would admit that when it comes to negotiation, he's not trying to overpay. He's getting a price that makes sense. Even if he does overpay, he argues then that it's an issue of replacement costs and things of that nature. So, whereas Robert, according to Grant anyway, would be more focused on the price as a top reason to buy or not. Make sure that you buy low, sell high. And don't really worry about the if you get a high price for something, then just walk away from it. So anyway, the ongoing saga continues. Whether Robert will respond will remain to be seen. If it does, I'll drop a video on that if the Rich Dad Poor Dad channel has any response. But let me know in the comments what you think. Do you agree with Grant or do you agree with Robert? Do you think that Robert Kiyosaki thinks too small on the issue of management and the issue of price? Or do you think that Grant's just being petty and is just attacking Robert because of the interview that went so poorly when he was on the Rich Dad radio show? Let me know down in the comments. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and until next time, stay tuned.